Within all the varieties of tomatoes, there's come down to two main category. Indeterminated tomatoes, which is the vine and could grow about 20 feet, really 20 feet. And then you have the determinated tomato, which is the bush type that could grow maybe up to 4 feet. So when it comes down to determinated tomatoes, you do not want to prune too much or remove too much of the suckers, which I'm going to show you exactly what is the suckers and what it does. If you remove too much of the suckers, you will decrease your production, meaning getting a less harvest from this small plant. It only grows up to 4 feet tall and it produces all your tomatoes at once and basically ending the growing cycle really fast. It comes up to indeterminate tomato, you have to prune. If you don't prune, you're gonna grow leaves. You're gonna spend months growing so much leaves, so you have to prune. When you prune, you're gonna have a healthier plant, you have more airflow, you got a faster production, more production in less time. So we're gonna break down this plant a little bit for beginners, especially this right here is your main stem right here. That's your main stem. This is your branch with leaves here. And between your main stem, you see your branch right here. You have your branch right there and leaf. Between the main stem and the branch, you see this little growth part right here. This is what you call a sucker. So the sucker is basically an extra part that's going to be growing, bringing in a full section with branch, leaves, tomatoes, and is going to produce tomatoes there. Now you have the option in the indeterminate tomatoes. I would recommend to remove about a couple feet, at least about 3 to 4 feet. But in this shorter plant, we're not going to be pruning and doing all that. Unless if you have some kind of disease going on in the plant, then you remove some of the leaf. Like the lower one right here, you could definitely remove the lower one because you don't need the lower leaves. This will help you in less chance of getting disease. The plant leaf does not touch the soil. And if you want to add your fertilizer or compost or water, you water direct right here without anything touching the leaves. Now, if you look at the plant, we have the growing tip point right here, which is going to start producing, right? And between one of the main one, we have one sucker right there is going to grow. So we're going to have more production from this right here. And then we have another one of between every stem, we have a sucker. We have about 7 suckers right now going to grow and produce. If you want, you could remove one of the suckers, right? Especially if they're big, you could put it in a mason jar with water or any container with water, and this will grow and produce root, and you could go ahead and plant this anywhere you want in your garden because it will grow. Now what I'm going to do, I'm removing the 2 lower sucker because we're coming into fall time and I do not have a lot of growing time left back in here. So I'm just going to remove this 2 sucker right there, and then I have a bunch more sucker growing so we could push this plant to see how much harvest we could get. The indeterminate tomato, you want to remove much of those suckers, and then you would remove these 2 branches right there. You remove the two lower leaves with the indeterminate as growing long. You want to continue pruning out as the plant is growing because you do not want to leave too much leaves or you will end up with so much leaves you're gonna lose control of the plant. So but you can see how small it is, and I have the tomato cage and a 5-gallon container. Check in the description box if you want to get your hand on these. They're really nice and manageable. You could use these garden stake too, the green one, or you could have the tomato cage, which I have a couple of them here, or you could just tie them up with a piece of wood. They only grow up to 4 feet, so it's not much that you need to worry about. But these are bushy types, so with all the suckers growing this way, it will get crowded. So if you have too much leaves, you could always remove 1 or 2 between to get some airflow. But if your plant is in the hot sun, you don't need to remove so much. These will help us sunshade to cover your tomatoes so it does not get sunburned. So that's a good plus. So basically, it's simple. You have to prune indeterminate tomato plant, and determinate tomato plant, you really don't have to prune. Just remove the 2 lower leaves at the bottom so you get a good airflow and no leaves touching the soil when it comes to these plants. And they're really small. You could grow them inside, especially if you have grown light. These plants will work perfect indoor. Do not plant an indeterminate tomato inside, or else you're gonna have a monster. You're not gonna have space for that unless if you top it off. All right, don't want to make this video long. Thank you everybody who's been watching and supporting Green Tea Garden. I do appreciate it. And my next step, I do have that indoor garden, but I do want to get a rack with some growing lights. I got to figure out which one I'm going to buy yet. I don't know. Budget is tight. So Christmas, Halloween is coming up and Christmas is coming up, so I gotta make sure my budget is. I'm gonna get something cheap, probably. I don't know, and I'm gonna do a lot of videos indoor coming for winter time. So I do want to keep you guys busy still with gardening. Even garden season will be over. You could still watch and see what's green teas harvesting, growing, and get more tips and more ideas for next season. And if you're new, welcome to Green Tea Garden. We're all about growing a better home garden together, and it's 100% free. If you click the subscribe button every time I upload a video, you will get it right away by clicking the bell icon too. And I really appreciate everyone who's been watching. And if you're new, don't forget I'm in Long Island, New York, USA, and we're in fall weather. Can't believe it. And I'll see you guys next time.